All right, hey folks, let's see if we are live. We're going to do some artwork this morning here for the Eberron adventure that we've been creating. Cool, looks like that's up and running, and give me Toykins. Cool, looks like that's up and running, and give me I spelled it Toykins. Hold on, let's see if I can fix that real quick on my own screen here, and then we'll get to work. I'm being a little bit of a text perfectionist here, not wanting to misspell my junk. So let's get into content. Let's see, video listings, live, and tokens. There we go. Save. Okay, cool. That should be good now. I'm going to refresh to make sure I got my spelling good. And hey, it updates while I'm live. That's awesome. Okay, I did not know that. I've never tried to do that before, but I am obviously in a distraction for myself. So let me get myself back up to speed here. Creating Eberron Adventure. I need to. Sorry, I thought I was set up, but apparently I'm not. So let me try to entertain you here with my origin story while I press some buttons. So hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them, and I then publish online. Today, creating monster and NPC tokens! Exclamation point. I've been DMing since 1987. I've been using Eberron as my homebrew campaign world of choice since 2006, and I've been creating content on the DMsGuild since 2017. But so this is the first adventure that I've actually created. I'm really proud of that. It's called Crystals of Mabar. It's for 4 to 5 characters of level 7 and 8. You're fighting necromancers and undead in the Carnwood of Karnath on the continent of Corvair, and so that is we're creating maps and creature tokens for the adventure, and then we'll be doing layouts next month. And this is the X Twitter platform. If you're still on X Twitter, I'm at Phil Kearney. You can follow me there. My YouTube channel. Hey guys, that's us right here, right now. Like, subscribe. Hey, new subscribers. Thanks a lot, guys. Like, subscribe, bell icon to get notifications when we are live in the future. And here is the full playlist of all 302 episodes. This book cover that we're looking at here is, I made this back around episode 40, so you can jump into the Wayback Machine and check that out if you're interested. Right now, we are creating NPC tokens. One of the weapons that we have in the game, it has it's we call it a grappling staff. It has a lariat at basically at the base of the blade for a halberd. So it's a reach weapon that you can use to make the grappling attack, and if you hit, you can replace an attack with a grapple. If you hit, the creature is grappled, and you can use a bonus action to deal slashing damage to that target each turn. And I am in the process of trying to make a good-looking glaive. So I'm just going to go. Let's start with the vertical shaft. Here, that looks about right. And I just need to make a plausible weapon. And for some reason, the angle is catching me really weird, so I wanted to take an opportunity to. I want to hook a curve in the blade, so there's a space for somebody's neck to be if you don't want to kill them, and then if you flip it over, it'll be able to slash at their neck and their shoulder. So there, and then maybe I want to make it front heavy. That sounds pretty interesting. And we provide the stats for it in the weapons section. Or the new items and oddities. Appendix 2, new items and oddities. Appendix 1 is new monsters and NPCs. And then Appendix 2 is items and oddities. And then Appendix 3 is alternate plot hooks. So, as I've talked about a lot in the past, there are 6 plot hooks. There's the assumed plot hook, like the default assumption where your characters are deputized to respond to complaints about being denied access to the forest. Villages are complaining that military is preventing them from having access to the forest, but they won't provide any reasons what's going on. So they petition the sheriff, the regional sheriff that oversees Eastern Karnath. Help us. They petition at Fort Bastion, and your characters are recruited to go to get deputized and then go investigate what's going on, because there's no official inquiry about what's going on, because these village refugee camps don't technically exist. So you can't put in a formal complaint, but you can ask what's going on. And the sheriff, I forgot his name offhand, Orbelt, I think. Anyway, he doesn't know what's going on, but he doesn't want to have to deal with it. So he'll deputize notable or good reputation adventurers to deputize them to explore a task. And if they do well, they can earn other gigs and eventually get recruited to work as a regional sheriff to oversee a block of space in Karnath that can become a domain that the characters can then use for eventually gaining ranks and getting command of a fort, and maybe eventually being transferred and taking ownership of Fort Bastion itself. So if you're into the domain style of play, or if you've never explored that idea before, it's really, really fun. And if it's a large enough region, the characters still have need to roam around, but they're more of a... They could be played more as, like, when you stay in territory, you're basically policing your region. And there can be any number of plots and adventures that can happen inside of a tamed territory, because the larger the area, the less likely it is that you just have eyes on everything. So that becomes there we go. I think I like that. There. All right, I'm going to stay there. Cut, paste, and I can get rid of that. Boop, boop. And okay, cool. So now we're gonna make the lariat. And I also need to redo the Houndsman, one of the NPCs. I hate the token that I made. I looked at it and I'm like, that is not a cool token. So I'm going to redo it. Copy, paste, free transform, flip horizontal. These tokens and maps, these all become illustrations inside of the adventure itself. So we've been, I mean, the adventure needs visual information inside of it for you to be able to use the adventure. So a ton of the visual assets that can go into an adventure are the actual map and adventure assets themselves. And using them inside the adventure helps reinforce there's tokens for this. Here you go. So useful stuff. Okay, so I like how this is coming along. You're going to see what we're doing here in a moment. There. Let's clear that out. There, and then let's clean up that. I don't know what that's called. But we can have. There we go. Let's delete that line I just made. And we're going to merge down. And we're going to duplicate. We're going to grab this. We're going to drag it down the haft. I'm going to delete the shaft underneath it. If you go to my Discord channel, there should be a link in my Discord channel in the description down below. But AJ Pickett had ran a demo flight of the superhero game Super Atomic that he's building out as a pay what you want, and it's a super loose narrative superhero, a very loose narrative superhero role-playing game, and it's as fun as any other Beck Me game or Gonzo style game that you would run, and good stuff, super clean mechanics. At a certain level, once you kind of have played a number of different role-playing games, you can really notice the difference between technical crunch games and loose narrative games. And the technical ones tend to take themselves a little bit more seriously because they have a lot of like mechanical stuff built into them. This is looking good. I'll leave that in its own layer right now. Here. You see how that is? We're building these, basically a fishing line through here. And that's what controls the lariat. Excuse me, I need to duplicate this and then flip it. Oh, that's perfect. And then duplicate. perfect. God, it's perfect. Flip horizontal. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this and this. So we'll put that on top. We'll grab these. Going to duplicate those layers. And then we that should probably do. That's my 20-minute timer to help make sure I keep track of stuff. It is 7:08 right now, so I've got about 40 minutes left. Gotta say, I'm digging this design so far. Thin it up a bit. God, yeah, that looks really good. Cool, man. Let's finish it up here. We'll cap it off. Sorry, I'm thinking my way through this right now. Okay. That is, I think, the proper way to do this is to duplicate these again. Oh yeah, it turns out I don't actually need this, so I can delete that, and instead I want to grab the back end of that lariat. Oh hey Rel, how you doing? It's good to see you, my guy. So let's grab this like that, copy paste, push this up to the top. Today at lunchtime, we get to revisit martial power reactions. So when I was on screen at lunchtime on Tuesday this week, we were peeling apart the words I'm attempting to use equal. Oh, the action economy and resource usage of the reaction powers that we had been that we've introduced into martial powers. And when we walked away, we had started delving into the differences between the different types of reactions, between opportunity attacks versus regular reactions. And our objective for the night then became, there it is. That's what I'm looking for. Hold on. I'm trying to think out loud. That's what I need to do. Oh, yeah. I get it now. That's what I need to do. This is where I'm at. Right there. Sorry, I'm almost updated here, and then I'll complete that thought. Hold on. There. Let's take this. And we're going to take this. I need this to be shorter. Erase that here. So yeah, we left it to inspiration for us to know what our next step is, and we assigned ourselves the task of having that inspiration by today, so that we'll know how to resolve it. And I received my inspiration. I know how I want to resolve. So that's what we'll be talking about during Martial Powers lunch today. Here and here. There we go. Sorry, it took me a little while to get there, but yeah, I feel like I've resolved the reaction, opportunist, all that stuff. Got it figured out. So stay tuned and find out the secrets of martial power reactions at lunch today. That'll be what is it? 7:12 now. Probably about 6 hours, like around 1 something is typically when I'm on lunch. Okay, so this lariat is like you've got the blade of it. So this lariat is basically looped through here like this, and then it has the string that goes down the shaft to where the rings are at. And just like a fishing pole, when you pull the string down, this tightens up, and it's designed basically to hook around people's necks to control them, right? Like a choke collar at the end of a staff. And you have the option of being able to roll the blade over to put their head in the crook of the blade to hold them, or you could leave the sharpened edge against them. Shit, we should just put a sharpened edge on the inside here, so you could have the blade alongside somebody. No, I don't think I want to do it that way. Hold on, I am having thoughts though. I'm having thoughts. What's up? Hey, what got you? What got you hooked into D&D? When I was 5, I would Saturday morning cartoons were still a thing, and I would wake up at 6:30 in the morning and begin playing with Legos in the family room, waiting for Saturday morning cartoons to start. And I know Mom would be probably making pancakes around 8:30, so I had some time on my hands. So I'd get up early, I'd go down, I'd turn on the TV, I'd go to PBS, and I'd watch Joy of Painting, playing Legos, and then at 7 o'clock, Dungeons and Dragons would come on, and I'd watch the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. And my favorite Legos were the Lego Castle sets. And about the same time, Monty Python Search for the Holy Grail was brand new, and it was playing on HBO 3 times per day. So when I was hanging out on the weekend, my sister and I would watch Monty Python Search for the Holy Grail like once or twice a day, pretty much, and that was for like 2 months. So that became one that I think I was 5, yeah. And so Monty Python and Dungeons and Dragons and Lego Castles were brand new. All these things were combining in a conspiracy of success for me to become interested in the fantasy genre. My sister read Lord of the Rings to me when I was 3 and she was 5, and I don't retain any of that, but Shay was doing it mostly for reading. So just like reading skills, I think I should just like to read. So, yeah, real disposition towards fantasy. When I got a little bit older, Conan was awesome. That just further leaned me into it. And I was starting to get into fantasy novels. Some of my friends at school were starting to read Forgotten Realms novels, which are D&D settings. And although they didn't play D&D, they loved the Forgotten Realms novels, and then Dragonlance. And but I had already gotten into D&D at that point, but that further reinforced it. By the time I was 12, basically my parents got me for my birthday a bunch of D&D books that my cousins weren't using anymore. They were playing D&D when they were in California, and when they moved to Missouri, where I was living at the time, I inherited their books, and that cemented in pretty much that I was gonna be playing D&D. Then I got into Robotech and Palladium Fantasy and those games, so that got me into making big robots. My art got me started first with Robotech, because I was a Robotech junkie as a kid. And where is that arrow? I can't just leave that there. We'll just leave it there. We can leave it there. We'll delete it later. That's off balance now, so I need to. There. So Robotech Junkie, the Robotech RPG had been created by Palladium. It had a bunch of just great illustrations in it. I picked up the Art of Robotech, which also had all the mecha designs and stuff. And so I got interested in making mecha art. 12-year-old boy, of course I'm going to make mecha art. It's armored, it's soldiers plus tanks at the same time. What's not to love? So started doing that, and then as I continued to progress in my ability to create mecha designs, I basically flipped over to mecha equals full plate armor, and then full plate armor became partial plate and chain, and then that became chain, which became leather, which became normal clothing, which then went into me developing anatomy, and then items and equipment, and that was the natural progression of me as an artist. And I've basically just been running along that path, trying to improve my characters, my items, my landscapes, my creatures, and then it loops back around. So I'm continually trying to push the quality of art that I have for those basically 4 different aspects of stuff: monsters, people, locations, and equipment. And as I advance one, another one lags behind. I catch it up, and then something else. There's four triggers that I'm pulling basically at a time, and I'm always trying to up the lever on all of them. I can only get so far ahead with one. Like landscapes are still by far my most evolved element of fantasy art. And I think items are catching up, but I still have I still have a long way to go in both character and monster anatomy and realism and stuff like that. But it's good enough, I'm content with where I'm at. I like the path. I like the journey. The great thing about creative art is that there's no end. You don't win art and then walk away and go do something else. It becomes part of how you express yourself. It's like the way that you like art becomes how you communicate. One of the ways that you can communicate. There, I like that. That looks really, really good. I'm really, really happy with that. So let's take all this and duplicate the layer and then merge it down. We'll conceal that one. We'll get rid of all those marks. There. Cool. I love it. Love it, love it. Grappling staff. Grappling glaive sounds weird. I'm just going with grappling staff because it rolls off the tongue well. You could technically remove the blade. Oh, maybe it should have like a like you can unscrew it like this. Yeah. Anyway, no, you can't unscrew it. That'd be a little more mechanically complicated. This is already a complicated item. And I want to make the ring over here a little bit bigger. I want to make the ring large enough to make it easily. Oh, I saw that there's text there. Hold on, I'll get to you. But I'm imagining that when you pull this taut, you can hook it on the scabbard, on the pommel of your sword in your scabbard. So you can be holding the stick, and then you can be holding your scabbard with it, the hilt of your sword, in your sheath. You can hold that as leverage to hold the string taut while you're bracing the staff, the haft of the staff between your hip and the pommel of your sword. So you're actually using your sword as the anchor for the drawn chain cord, the drawn cord. Chain would be ideal. Yeah, chain would be ideal. I'm gonna leave it as a cord though. But you could draw that taut and then use that leverage off of your own sword to pull that taut so that the person that's caught on it is stuck that way. And since you're putting the weight of the shaft against your hip in a notch where your belt is at, right? This becomes a notch where the cord can sit inside at your hip. You can twist your hip to pull it taut, and you can use your body weight to be able to pull it around so that you'll be able to drag them as you would with be able to do grappling, and you have their neck hooked. So they aren't restrained, they're grappled. So you can't restrain them if you just have their neck, but they would definitely be grappled. So I want to clarify that language. And since you have reach, they can't attack you directly. They'd have to attack the weapon to attempt to disarm it, but they can't target it because it's hooked around their neck. They can't get rid of it. So you can cut the cord like a net. You should be able to get through it that way. But they use this to lasso the neck of slow zombies and skeletons that are shambling around. They're pretty easy targets to net them, pull the string, and then guide them to a fire or wherever it is that they're corralling undead to when they find them. Yeah, absolutely does. Heard of the name before. Bob Ross, right? Monty Python. Monty Python was a comedy troupe, and they're like an improv comedy team in Britain, and they started doing a TV show called Monty Python's Flying Circus. So Monty Python is the name of the comedy troupe. Like Terry Gilliam and a number of other why am I blanking his name? I'm blanking their names, but if you check him out, there's a number of fairly famous British actor comedians, and like Terry Gilliam went on to do like Time Bandits and Baron Munchausen, Brazil, 12 Monkeys, Starfall. He's done a number of really interesting fantasy movies that are all very surreal. Time Bandits. He did Time Bandits. God, that's a great film. And these are all films that I grew up with. So Terry Gilliam and Monty Python and all this just classic fantasy trope stuff was all my childhood. So you should check out Monty Python's Monty Python and the Search for the Holy Grail. That's the movie. It's classic tropes. It's like classic fantasy comedy, and it just completely makes fun of King Arthur and the fantasy of like the legends of King Arthur and that fantasy stuff. There's monsters and wizards and it's fucking funny. It is just the absolute silliest of stuff, and it is so iconic. It is completely worth your time tracking down Monty Python. And then The Life of Brian is about it's an alternate Jesus Christ. This guy named Brian is like, everyone in Rome thinks he's Jesus. So but he's just some random guy. And shit just keeps happening to him. At some point he falls off of a building and gets caught by a flying saucer, and he's taken into space, and he's like, what the fuck is going on? It's so great. It's so great. Very, very funny. And then there's Monty Python's The Meaning of Life, and that basically takes you from birth to death and these different vignette comedy skits. And at one point they depict your job as being pirates, and there's these skyscraper buildings, like these finance firms and different types of taxation companies that act as pirate ships. So their skyscraper where their building is located through is like sailing through the different streets between buildings, and then like two come alongside each other, and that they fire typewriters at each other as cannonballs, and they're corporate raiding each other by storming into their skyscraper to take all their client information as loot. It's awesome. It's fucking awesome. Completely worth your time. Yeah, completely worth your time. It's so funny. God, it's all so funny. And the Time Bandits is classic comedy, classic fantasy, Terry Gilliam fantasy. Yeah, that weapon's good. Okay, so now we have to rebuild it. Get rid of that. God, those films are so fucking funny. I've watched Monty Python and Holy Grail like at least 100 times, at least. And most of that was when I was 5. So now we have this structure at the top end here. We'll use our drafting skills too. Try to build this out and make it look right. I've been recruited for a DMsGuild project to create subclasses for all the stuff that's already been published in 2014 plus. That's not in the 2024 Player's Handbook. Like we're taking all 12 classes that are in the Player's Handbook and buffing out the rest of the subclasses that are missing. Kind of like what I did with martial powers, but not using the martial power system. And it's part of a collaboration, and I have been assigned monk. I will be creating alternate monk subclasses. Like I don't know exactly which monk classes are subclasses are in the Player's Handbook, and I don't know the specific language on things yet, but we're going to be extrapolating from those the rest of the subclasses that are missing. And it's going to be put in an anthology book for all 12 classes, all of the other subclasses that exist in the game for each of the classes. And so, yeah, so I'll be doing the monk, and I'll be streaming that as soon as the project is go, and I get all the information that I need for the monk revisions. Then I'll start streaming that project on my Thursday and Saturday streams. So I can't afford to take away time from this from the Eberron project. So the time that I spend in the evenings off screen are primarily spent developing this Eberron adventure. But so I'm hoping that I'll be able to have a good deadline for creating the stuff, that I'll have enough time to be able to build it all, like literally build all of it on stream here with people that tune in and check it out. So that's coming up. Hopefully I'll get be able to get all the information cobbled together off of various sources for me to be able to begin before the month is over. But I don't have an official copy, and I won't have an official copy until September 17, like the rest of the commenters. I'm really mincing on this perspective here, because if I get this right, it sets me up for the rest of the piece. But I do need to yeah, that looks pretty good. Like that. Like that. Hey, what's up? What do fantasy works old and new have in common? From Lord of the Rings to Storm... Fuck, I don't know, man. I only have such a small fraction of exposure to the bodies of work that are out there. I mean, if this is a riddle and you have the answer, tell me. It's not setting, it's not morality, it's not purpose, it's not character. There's tropes that exist for characters, but like Conan the Barbarian. Conan was pretty fucking smart. He was I mean, he wasn't a book smart kind of guy, but he studied his environment, he studied his opponents. He was a very competent warrior. A smart tactical fighter that was a barbarian. Like, he wasn't dumb. That's not the trope of barbarian of Conan at all. But yet Conan is like the iconic barbarian. I think we're going to get this figured out. I finished up the text for the Eye of Mavar artifact that's in this adventure, and the ritual. I was able to revise and simplify the language for the ritual. So that's off of my list. The next thing that I need to complete in the document is make sure I have all the information I need for like the alchemical stuff that you can do with the different flora, like the different oddities of Mavar, the different plants and chemicals and stuff that can be created. I just want to make sure I have that all properly documented. And then I am very close to doing page layouts. We'll have to figure out what to do. I think we're going to do the monsters in Appendix 1. I think we're going to leave those as 5th edition 2014 and then update it once we're clear about the codifying monsters in 2025 when the monster manual comes out. That's starting to look really, really good. Oh, that's looking great. So when you make your own RPG, what will it be all about? Well, that's what I'm playtesting right now. My home table is testing the system, the mechanics of it. Like I've been talking about the ability check system for determining the scale on 1 to 10 success and like challenge difficulty level and success rating. I'm using the Eberron Spelljammer campaign setting to test it, but it could technically be any genre. The mechanics are not setting specific, so in that sense, it's kind of like Cypher system. So basically, I'm developing a Cypher-like system that sits in the space between 5th edition D&D. Cypher system by Monochromatism Games, and like a Pathfinder, Mutants and Masterminds, sort of just generic D20 space, right? And I've talked about this before. It's specifically just ability checks and using ability checks in different ways to express different types of game mechanics in combat, and exploration, and social encounters, using the ability checks to resolve all 3 of those pillars of challenge. And so, but that's not the setting, right? The setting is the environment, the game space that the rules are utilized in to express stories. And so the asteroid belt system I like a lot, and I can scrub the IP serial number off of the setting because it's I'm only just basically using the names of like Droam. It doesn't have to be Droam, it doesn't have to be Thrain, it doesn't have to be any specific IP of Eberron. That's just how I'm framing the campaign that I'm currently running. If I were to publish the asteroid belt mining operations, I'd come up with unique names and put a bit of a further twist on it. But that'd be a great setting because that's the setting that I'm testing the most. We are going to launch another test game of this. I have a Curse of Strahd game that I play in every other week on Saturday night, and the agreement currently now is that if someone can't make it, we'll cancel the game. But that's a 2-week period of time, and we haven't had to implement it. But the plan then is, if somebody can't make it, instead we'll run a game in Phil's playtest campaign. And I don't know what the genre of that game is going to be. The two things that stick out in my mind the most is Wild West, where you're acting as vigilantes or sheriffs. And the other one is just a fantasy, fantasy setting, just like generic fantasy. So 3 settings: Wild West, fantasy, medieval fantasy, or high fantasy setting, and then sci-fi setting. But the mechanics would work the same for all 3 of them. It's just you're just reskinning it. I want to thicken that blade up a bit. Yeah, that feels better. Good. So I think fantasy might be about wonder. You always see something incredible in a fantasy. That's true. I cannot contest that. So we'll need to adjust the grip on his hand, but we're going to need to do that anyway. I need the sword on this side if that's how he's going to use it. Which is fine. That sword's on the wrong side anyway. It should be over here. So it doesn't stand out as much, but I could add a second sword. That's not a bad idea. If I were to tilt it just a little bit. Well, that feels pretty good. That feels really good. I'm going to want to tilt. I want to pull this arm out and crook it up like this a little bit to act as a brace. But this is falling into place. I'm pretty happy with how this is coming along. And we got our weapon art resolved. That was something that was on my plate that needed to get done. So, weapon. I'm going to duplicate this group as a new document. And we're going to now file, save as, items and oddities. There. So now we have an items and oddities table here, and we have, yeah, weapon. That was the right way to do that. It was very much a wonder. I say this because my introduction to fantasy was the Master of the Books. And in that movie, I have never heard of that movie. In that movie, the last part, which was about fantasy, the main characters have to survive. Oh, right on. It was very much a wonder-filled adventure. Oh man, check out the movie if you haven't seen. Have you seen Dragon Slayer? That was a movie in the early '80s as well. It's about an apprentice that needs to rescue a princess from a dragon that terrorizes a town, and it's a very It's a very gritty system, like very, despite there being a dragon, and despite there being magic, it's a very like practical magic, like not a lot of flashbang, but like infusing items and enchanting things. And then so this apprentice takes on the role of a knight to go conquer this dragon, and it's a really cool exploration of like how do you explore and investigate a dragon's den, like a dragon's lair. It's really neat, very worth your time. Great content. I feel like maybe I can give this arm a twist and get it lined up. Let's try this. Let's try skewing. Bam. Look at that. That lined right up. Look at that. That was perfect. Holy shit. That was literally perfect. I'm going to take the haft here, and now I'm going to free transform. I'm going to skew this as well, just to push it into that gap. Wow, this is really working out. It'll be difficult to depict the rope and stuff on here, so I'm not going to hurt myself over that, but it does need to get done. So that's where we are at currently. I'm going to merge this down. I'm going to leave it be. I no longer need your services. Thank you. I'll drop you into the weapon folder, get you out of the way. Weapon. Duplicate. Conceal. Turn. Oh shit. Where are we at on time? 7:48? Okay. Alright, so there's after I'll probably finish this over the weekend, honestly. So that probably means when we come back on Monday. Oh, that's right. I have. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. So I want to redo one of the NPC mini bosses is named the Houndsman. He's basically a Beastmaster Ranger with a beast sense connection with multiple Shadow Mastiffs, and I absolutely hate the token that I made for him. So I want to redo it, and yeah, absolutely want to fucking redo it. I hate it. So I'm going to redo it. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe that's what I'll do on Saturday. I have a Saturday morning stream, and I've been doing a lot of design work during the week, during Saturdays recently. So I think instead, what I want to do is spend my time redoing the Houndsman token. I think I'm going to enjoy doing that. Yeah, I'm really going to enjoy doing that. So that's what we'll do tomorrow morning. We're going to make some fantasy Beastmaster Ranger art. It's going to be super fucking fun. And then on Monday when we come back, we're going to be working on the village homesteads, the ranch homesteads. We have a barn and a family cottage created, and we need to add items to it. We need to furnish the ones that are furnished, leave empty the ones that are empty. That one's done, and then make. And then have one where undead got into the house and slaughtered the family. So we'll need to do a blood splatter scene, basically, for if the team decides to go out and investigate the abandoned homesteads, they can use them as a location to defend for long rest. And in the case of the one that got broken into, the few that got broken into and had a massacre, that they can investigate that, just, to be sheriffy and investigate-ish. So that's the thing they can do. So that's what we'll be doing on Monday, is finishing out those maps. And once that's done, I believe we are officially done with all of the maps that we required. So that's that then finishes all the maps. The cover is finished. The text will be done by the end of the month for us to begin breaking into page layouts and And so I have, I think, a few NPC tokens that I want to mess around with. There's a number of non-combat NPCs like lab assistants and like lumberjacks, scouts, different types of people that can be ran across that don't have their own tokens that I think I'm going to give their own tokens to. So I probably have like another like 12 NPC, like little like portrait NPCs to do that are like non-combat, just like people to have a conversation with. Yeah, so I think I'm going to do that. So I still have some NPCs to do. That'll be on Monday through Friday in the morning moving forward. And then in the evenings, and then probably potentially on Saturdays as well, we'll be doing page layouts for the book. And once we get the layouts complete, I'll touch base with you guys so you can see where that layout process is coming. But I won't be doing all of that on screen because it's pretty boring. And I still have artwork to do. Art's more interesting. Doing page layouts is as intense as doing text, in which I can't just ramble and free flow conversations with people and still be productive. I can only do one at a time. So I like having art on my daily morning streams as opposed to technical work, because I can always interact with, engage, and just do visual stuff separately from what the conversation is about. So that's a really important piece for me. But like my lunchtime, my martial power development streams, my Saturday morning development streams, I can't just free flow conversation like this. So these Monday through Friday mornings is really important to me emotionally, to be able to talk about stuff and just to be able to turn my brain off and let the artwork do what it wants to do as well. So anyway, that's some of the stuff that goes on in my head. That's it for now. I will be back at lunch today at 1 o'clock here in Seattle. That is 5 hours from now-ish. Maybe actually it's normally 1:30, let's be honest. But I'm going to strive for 1 o'clock today and see if I can kick that down. And we're going to come back. So we're going to come back and revise reactions for the martial power system, and as well as opportunist and attacks of opportunity. So we'll do that. And so like, subscribe, bell icon, blah de blah. I will see you guys on the other side. See you in a few hours. Later.